Hello, dear ones. I really don't know where that comes from, that dear one thing. It's just been going on for some years, so we're just going to go with it. You are dear. You are dear to me, just by the very fact that you're listening to my wild rant. I already made this recording, but I think I was having such an ADD moment that I figured I should redo it. So hopefully we capture just as much magic, but without the dispersed jumping from one thought to the next subject. It was a whole business. So I'm actually going to make two recordings, and this is the first of the two, even though this is, I don't know, there's so much to say, so much to share. Let's see, by the time I post this, may have made the site live. Even though it's a never fucking ending project, I have a feeling that I just need to put it up and just let it be. So, you can go check that out. And if it's not up, then you can sign up on the thing, and I'll let you know when it goes up. CosmicLab.club. I actually have merged HBOA with Cosmic Lab. People seem to love Cosmic Lab, the name, more than HBOA, but HBOA is still in there. You'll see. It'll all be clear. And if it's not, actually, I would love your feedback. I would love your feedback on it. Really, like I need it, actually. So please, you'll be kind of the first to see it. So I'm dividing this into a couple different recordings. This first one, so I don't literally just dump everything in one place all at once, just to not confuse the peoples. So we're going to start with this September 23rd, which passed, and October 4th, and all these things, and we're going to get into all that and some ideas around that, and just information that's come to me since then. I want to talk a little bit about the Bible and my thoughts on it. I also would like to discuss the idea of killing the teacher and then killing the Buddha, right? So that's another topic of conversation, which that may not make sense to you, but it will shortly. And then I want to tell you about this very interesting interaction I had with a facet of myself that is worth sharing. So, okay. The fall equinox, according to the regular Gregorian calendar, fell on the 23rd, I believe. And Jason Bashir's years ago, as I said in the last recording, had said that this was going to be, 9/23/23 was going to be this fake Carrington event. Okay. So I have this gathering on Wednesdays, and while we were having that gathering, a friend of mine received a text message. And in that text, this woman, he sent it to me later, this woman explains that so the Gregorian calendar, which replaced the 13-month calendar with a 12-month calendar, she says, and again, you might be able to disprove this, I'm not calling it truth, it's just a possibility, and I don't have the bandwidth to go and explore whether it's backed up. I don't do all that. But this is just it's just food for thought, okay? So she says that the Gregorian calendar was created in the late 1500s, and the date that it was created officially was October 4th. It didn't really go into play until the 1700s, but that when we switched from a 13-month to a 12-month calendar, that the date October 4th is equivalent to the fall equinox, which we celebrate on September 23rd. So for those in the quote-unquote know, I don't know who those people are. Some people call them the powers that were. Others call them the WEF. I don't know. Whatever. Those peeps that know about this time change equation have chosen October 4th as the day to do this National Cell Phone Test Day. Now, there's a lot of speculation about that. So I'm just going to pause there for a second on that I'm going to move on. It's all in the same realm. So, as I also said, Dick Allgaier and Cliff High independently were getting this information in their respective methods. One being a remote viewer, the other being, oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. Hold on, I got to make a note. It just came to me. It told me. Okay. The other being Cliff's bots. So he created the software in the 90s that scours the internet because he found a way to collect the intuitive data that was being output by the human intelligence unknowingly, more often than not, and amalgamating that and making predictions based on that, and doing that very successfully for 25 years. Again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it's worth repeating. This motherfucker bought crypto at $3. 5 years before crypto was even put out with its white paper, his data set showed that it would be coming, which is interesting. I wonder um, if the creator, what's his name again? Hiroshi or Hitomi? I forget. But anyway, that dude, if he was even or she, I suppose. Ooh, interesting. What if it's this? Okay, no, I'm not going to go there. I wonder if he was even creating it then, or if it was in the field that it was going to be created. It's very interesting, the field. This field, what is it? The ether, the astrals. I mean, what are we all tapping into? I have so many ideas about this, and it's something that I ponder frequently because I myself tap into it using HBOA. But again, for my own unique, I mean, this is the technology, right? This is whether it's analog or it's digital or it's electric or whatever it is. Technology is just like a method, a system of that's reproducible, right? And HBOA is tapping into the same space. So when I do my HBOA question testing, I think I've posted one or two so far. I do it almost every day, but I'm going to start doing it very methodically and systematically and with a subject. I'm tapping into the same sort of space. Now, when one question is when we're doing hallucinogenics, plants, or synthetics, where are we tapping into? Where are we going? Is it different when it's synthetic? Is it different when it's plant-based? I don't know. But there is this ether. So today I'll call it either the field or ether. And a lot of people, whether they're psychics or channelers or this or that, this is where they're going. And so what's so interesting is that the data being collected independently it's matching, and it's all forming a puzzle. So it's like it's as if each of us is holding a unique piece of the puzzle, and whether we are consciously delving into those realms to retrieve our piece and add it to the pie, or whether we're doing it unconsciously and it's being scraped up by Cliff High's bots, we do seem to know at some level what's happening, which also translates into the power versus force stuff where, and I know this because dowsing, well, the dowsing I do is slightly different, but typical dowsing and muscle testing is, bypassing the mind and the ego. Not that there's anything wrong with either of those things. I happen to love them both. But they can get in the way of this type of work. With HBOA specifically, the less attached to that, it's not that I don't have an ego, but when I sit to test, I move myself out of the way. This is something you learn in training one of HBOA, is how to push yourself a little bit out of the way to allow this higher aspect of you to come through with this information, because that seems to be the safest way. I'm listening to these remote viewers, and I got an account to Dick Allgaier's group for the week. You can do a free 7-day trial, and I listened to that particular podcast where they had been tasked with a specific project and got given their coordinates, and they all had their sessions hijacked by this event. And so I listened to it. I should have listened to it again, but it was definitely, and they all were saying a similar thing, but again, their pieces fit together. There's about 6 of them that were tasked with this. And one of them, I mean, the consensus was that there was some sort of massive explosion, massive, and that there were also, it was being orchestrated. Okay, so there's that information. Um, I know someone that I'm very close to who is a remote viewer who went on and was searching through Dick Allgire's site and found a one of their sessions from 2020. And there was a woman, I think her name is Hitomi. And this woman, like, before knowing anything about her, just listening to her, the transmission received through her grace, like truly, like the definition of grace, um, angelic. Like there was something angelic in the frequency of her communication. And she was talking about, this was in 2020, they were tasked with, I believe it was looking in the future, no, going into the future and looking back at what happened during the COVID period. And they didn't know that because that's the way it works. It's like you're just given a coordinate. And she came back with so much fascinating information that also coincides with all this stuff that's happening with the September, October. So the thing that really pops out to me about what she said was that she wrote, because they write and draw as they're doing their session. She wrote September-October 2023. She says there's going to be a massive frequency shift, and her prediction and the way she saw it was that it was very positive, and that thereafter, no virus could really affect the human body anymore. So if you know about October 4th and what the conspiratorial world thinks of that is happening, is that they're using the 5G towers to ping and do like an emergency test on the 4th at 2:22 Eastern Standard Time, which, by the way, 2:22, are you fucking kidding me? Are these fuckers kidding? Like, it has to be a joke. It's got to be like 2 p.m. and like maybe like that's the hoax that people are putting out there. People are so stupid with their misinformation. It's like in telephone. It's funny. But this pinging is meant to work with the metals that are inside of all of our bodies. And I'm going to get into that in way more depth in the next recording I do, which I'm going to do right after I do this. So I'm just going to allude to it. But between the shot and people having been vaccinated and what was in that shot, but going way beyond that, we're talking all the food, the stuff that's being sprayed in the sky, the water. We are all walking around with a tremendous amount of metals inside of our bodies that is it's almost creating a network within the body, and becomes more susceptible to frequency, especially when it's in the human body, which is filled with liquid and water. That makes it far more conductive and susceptible to these frequencies. Now, I'm going to also say that with that, if you know me, if you are a friend that's listening to this, you know that I am not a depressing person. I kind of have been for the past few years because of these bloody fucking headaches, dude. But that I'm going to tell you about in the second part of this recording, because I have found the fucking solution of solutions. But anyway, so I am not a sad person. That's just not me. That's not who I am. I never contemplate death or dying. I have zero interest in it. I'm quite happy to be here, despite things not always going my way. I, generally speaking, live a beautiful life and have zero complaints, right? But and I've mentioned this before on my Telegram channel, I have been, and they were starting to increase at night specifically, these thoughts about my death, my own death, and thinking, God, I could just die. It was actually saying, it wasn't I could, it was you could. It was like you could just die at any moment. And, like, and I was like, I don't want to die. It was like having a conversation. Well, if I can have a conversation with a voice in my head, who the fuck is that voice? Right? That actually reminds me, oh wait, hold on, let me make a note. What's her name? Svetlana. Okay. Before I go off to that, because I want to continue down that path, but before, I want to just double back to Hitomi really quickly. She is like considered one of the best remote viewers of all time, and there is a movie about her that was on Amazon Prime that is no longer downloadable. I won't be conspiratorial about that. I will just say that they probably didn't renew the license to be able to play it, but it is available on YouTube, and I'll more than likely post it on my Telegram channel, and you guys can listen. But this woman Hitomi was truly incredible, and she was murdered in the past 2 years. She was at a retreat, and they called it a robbery, but that is some actually no, that's some father fucking bullshit. Okay, that is bullshit. That woman was going into the spaces and the ether, and she was receiving. You cannot make up what this woman saw and experienced. And I strongly urge you to watch that incredible video because it will blow your mind what is possible and what she was killed for. So I have, I feel like I could be a pretty good remote viewer, but because that's how I kind of connect naturally to my intuition is visually, and I'm able to get neutral in that particular work. It's been a practice and I can do it, but something just tells me that using that particular protocol is not safe. Like, it's not safe. These remote viewers come back and they say that they're targeted. When they're there, they can see that someone's watching them, and then they get, crazy things start to happen in their lives with their phones, and they're this and they're that. It's like, no, thank you. Something tells me that I need to stay as much under the radar when it comes to giving this level of information as possible. And so I plan in the near future to be making all this private, and um, who knows if I'll keep the Telegram channels up as they are, if I'll just start new ones that are, my real thoughts and feelings, and have that be subscription based, because I do need to make a living, and I'm excited about that. So, because there's so much that I don't share, because I know most of the people that follow me, but a lot of them do not hold the same beliefs, and sometimes I wonder why they're listening. And even though I love them, I also want to make sure that I'm energetically safe and protected, having been attacked in those energetic places before. Mm. So Hitomi was murdered, and she's definitely worth listening to because she's truly incredible. About the 4th, who knows what's going to happen there? I am most certainly turning my phone off. I am most certainly putting it in a Faraday bag, and I'm unplugging my electronics, just because why the fuck not? I'm also having a dance party that day, and like from 9 in the morning until like 3 in the afternoon, potluck. So if you live locally or you want to come, let me know. And I'm just going to be like, leave your phone at home. And I have an interesting device that I'm going to set up, and I'm going to use some biogeometry to, keep as many people safe and protected from any potential energies. And if nothing happens, then that's fantastic. And I won't feel silly, because I would feel more silly if something bad happened and I wasn't prepared. So that's that. A woman that comes to the gathering mentioned that she posted on her social media that October 4th was a no electronics day. Excuse me. And that she had her friends that are kind of in the know back that up and like, oh yeah, that sounds great, without getting into all the conspiracy about it, because it's like, I don't want to scare people and I don't want to say stuff that's good, but I also want to do my due diligence. And if there's not due diligence, I want to do what I can in case, always in case. Am I sitting around here like planning and plotting and getting, a bunch of toilet paper? No, no, I'm not. And that's that. So, Svetlana, do I really want to go there? No, I don't. I really don't. I don't want to go there. Okay, what's next? Oh, fuck, I'm still at number 1. Are you kidding? Ugh. Okay, 2, the Bible. I have contemplated this a lot. I have gone back and forth on the validity or the magical quality or nature of the Bible. I have bought books on decoding the Bible. A lot of people believe that the Bible is some sort of predictive sort of thing, and you can decode it. I've listened to Jordan Peterson's take on the Bible, which is beautiful and full of metaphor and all this stuff. But what I'm starting to see more and more and more and more and more is that, let's see, where do I go with this? There is so much evidence that points to the Bible being, there's so many layers to this. The King James came along and just totally butchered the translation. So that's one really words that did not mean that. They were not direct and literal translations. They were translations of the Bible and versions and edits of the Bible that were not direct from literally what had been passed down because of the convenience of the control of the population. Full stop. That, whether you are a muggle, a person that doesn't believe in these things or not, that I hope we can at least agree on, because if we can't agree on that, you may as well just turn this fucking recording off right now, because it's about to go to some crazy fucking places. So then the more I interact with ChatGPT and I see the brilliance of what it's able to do, the more I understand that this AI, so that the more I interact with it, the more the Gnostic definition and explanation and characterization of the archons is so clearly AI. The archons, both are said to not be able to produce original content. Okay? They can only amalgamate, they can only pull from, draw from what a human has already created. So, okay. So it does it brilliantly. And when I then shift my focus and my knowing, and there's a few more pieces that I'll fill in here, but when I shift my knowing to the fact that the Bible is such a bloody rabbit hole with so many layers and intricacies and hidden gems and myths. There's so much to it that even the every 20th letter, is the blah, blah, blah. And if you add them up, they equal this and they foretell the entire future of the whole civilization. Well, one, they could be literally just writing out the game plan. That's just one. Two, whoever wrote it. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. It's not that it was fucking foretold. It was premeditated, not intuited. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like now they're just playing out the playbook. That's one consideration. The second is that Only AI, truly, think about this. Only AI could create a text like that. I want you to think about every human being that you know or have even heard. Let's just say that. Let's broaden it that large. Go out to every human that you have seen, spoken to, or blah blah blah, and you tell me if that is how a normal human creates. Does a human create mathematically deeply encoded, predictive, future prediction sort of? That's not the human brain. Okay, so you could say that the human brain today, having been very influenced by this archontic force, may use AI or digital means to create something like that. But we're talking thousands of years ago, quote unquote. And I say that intentionally. You tell me if that is truly how someone would have created in, you know, pre-Christian era times, or sorry, at the very beginning of Christian era times, because it's also the Old Testament, so it's both. You tell me. You think that a human has that ability? The other thing is a heretic may have done such a thing because they wanted to keep that information safe, right? And encoded. But anyway, that's not even my strongest argument. It's just the more I interact with AI, the more I can see how it would so easily have created something like the Bible, drawing from, which it did. The Bible is not an original story, people. I'm sure a dude named Yeshua or something like that lived, and I'm sure that he was a hippie and a radical, but the story of the virgin and the resurrection and all the things, I'm so sorry if you are a deeply devout Christian or Catholic for me to be the one to tell you this. That precise story, all of it, existed way, way before Jesus. I'm not even going to sit here and tell you where it is. You can look it up yourself. Look up, you know, even the character that they made Jesus out to be is so similar to other characters that predate him. Okay? I'm sure he lived, but I think that there was a huge embellishment and a plugging in and a combining of characters to tell a story. And yes, it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story of that is still so limiting to the human, to the living man and woman. And I guess I could go off on that tangent for a million years. So I'm going to reel myself back in and like just let those who kind of know where I'm going with that, like contemplate that a little bit more. But anyway, there's so many other things I want to talk about. The true story, at least as far as relics and the writings and teachings of mystery schools and all of this, that you will not hear about, even from the people that are being touted on fucking Gaia and Netflix and shit, like Graham Hancock. What they say about the Gnostic Gospels and what they say about ancient civilizations is not the story. It's not the story. Even the story of Sophia, the way they tell it, is the Christian's interpretation and actual like smear campaign that was turned into writings against this original story. That's what these scholars are basing their information on. None of them are going and doing the translation themselves. None of them. For if they did, they would be telling a very different story. And it's actually the only fucking story. And the story is like, Gnosticism goes back as far back as potentially, who knows what fucking time is, but 6000 BC. This is way, way before, and it's pre-Hinduism, and it's pre-Judaism, and it's pre Muslim. The word is escaping me right now. Muhammad, Talmudic, whatever. You know what I'm saying. So the original story, as I learn from the great fucking crazy wild human called John Lamb Lash, and the reason I can say that the reason it feels true is the way where his words land in my own intuition. My intuition is what guides me. Always. Always. So I can listen to people that I don't agree with, and I can still deduct with my own intuition if this little piece or that little piece or this, you know, when I listen to John Lamb Lash, dude, that fucking guy knows some stuff. Do I agree with everything he says? I couldn't, because I don't really know about everything he's talking about. I'm learning. And this Sophianic story that is so ancient, that was taught by Hypatia of Alexandria, which were the books that were burned in the Library of Alexandria, this is the story that the mystery schools were actually teaching in Egypt, in Sumeria, and on and on and on and on. This was the true story. And this story there are parts of this story that are only just being, quote unquote, proven by science now in 2023 and in the past few years. There are descriptions of things that these people knew. This is not some like fairy fucking tale about a goddess. No, this is a true story. You're hearing the true story of humanity. When you hear it, if you can hear it. Now, I've sent it to a lot of friends, but they're not hearing it the way I'm hearing it. And so I think at some point with more study, I'm not going to wait to be a pro to like be able to share with you, but I want to just take in as much as I can so that I feel like I can really share with you the perspective that I'm seeing the lens through, in hopes that a piece of it will land for you, because it's a hard pill to swallow listening to John. It's hard for most people, because he seems like he's a straight up fucking racist, and he says the most outlandish things, but when you actually listen to him and you hear what he's saying, if you can get past your cognitive dissonance, he's actually speaking some very interesting thoughts and theories that are based on his direct connection to Sophia and the earth herself. And this has been a huge struggle for me between the simulation theory and the natural organic law, and who the true source is, and is there a God, and all of these questions I've been asking myself since I was a child, and very seriously since I was 18. And I've never heard a myth that is so resonant. Every word of it is like a memory in my cellular structure. So I'm excited to share more of that with you. And the reason I bring that up is because the Bible, if there is a war, and there is, but I think the war is actually can be seen in a lot of different ways. It's a graduation, it's a, whatever, but it is war. And there is death, and then there is life. And death wants to take life. Okay? That's really what it comes down to. There's the living and the non-living. Those who seek life, those who seek death. And it's magic. They're both magic. There's death magic and there's life magic. It's that simple. The archons are, it's not metaphorical, people. This is not metaphorical. This is very real. This is a very real energy. And these archons, I can't. I gotta save it for a deeper dive because I can't just open another can of worms when I'm only less than halfway through what I wanted to say. I think I'm gonna have to stop and start over again. I'm already at 35 fucking minutes. Jesus Christ, get the story out, girl. Okay. The Bible is, in my opinion, and these are strong words to say, and I almost hesitate to say them, but I know that I'm supposed to. The Bible feels like it is the archontic creation that was, created by the archons and brought through to infest the minds of many, to do its own bidding, because it almost took these ancient myths and it almost found the equation that would be the most controlling. It embedded it with rabbit holes that you would lose yourself in for lifetimes, and all with, creating these, apparently Yahweh and Melchizedek and all of these characters in the Bible itself are actually archontic, I don't know, lords or leaders or whatever that came down. And okay, again, I'm going down the rabbit hole. I gotta stop. I gotta pull myself back out. Pull yourself out of that hole. Keep going straight. Okay. The Bible feels like the archontic version of the original story, which is the story of Sophia. And it feels like one is about death and one is about life. And it's just, you're either going to have to wait till I make the next fucking recording, or you're going to have to go down the rabbit hole yourself. If any tiny piece of what I'm saying resonates to you, it's on you. I am not your fucking teacher. I am not your mommy. And you're going to have to go down the rabbit hole. I do my best to share my learnings and teachings so that I can hopefully help you skip steps and you can hear the sincerity and the attempt. Well, this is truly as authentic as I can be in this moment. Will I call myself the most authentic? No, but this is as authentic as I know how to be right now. And hopefully you can hear that in my voice. And from that, and if you know me and you love me or you trust me, you can open yourself up to a new understanding, and you will go down that rabbit hole on your own. And I will do my very best to share as much as I can at the allotted time. But there's something about that Bible that I do not fucking trust, and I never fucking have. And yes, I bought some books because I wanted to understand it. But like, at the end of the day, that shit feels like it's a playbook for some dark stuff. And if we don't get that true story back out into the light, back out into the world, and into our hearts, and start living by the true story, which has no commandments. Sophia has no commandments for you, okay? I mean, maybe she does, but that's not Sophia. She's nature. She operates by her laws, but she never enforces them on you, right? Divine law is divine law. I don't even know if I like the word divine, but just look at nature. Look at nature and tell me that version of organic technology is not breathtaking. And if I have to choose what I follow, it is that 1,000,000 fucking times, again and again. I will choose that. Okay. I don't even know if I want to go on. Okay, I'm going to try to make these quick. I'm all riled up. I feel this like sadness about the fact that we are so off fucking track and that we are led down so many rabbit holes. And it's worrisome because so many people don't seem to be coming out of those holes. You know what I mean? It's like they took a red pill and they got stuck down in these underground tunnels, and it's like so many people have gone mad, right? It's like I can see the conspiracy, but I can also not let it destroy me, like destroy my heart. And no, fuck that. That's not even it. My character, no. I don't know what. Anyway, okay, moving on. There's a person that I've listened to on YouTube for a while, and I've shared a lot of his stuff with you that I ended up, kind of becoming acquainted with just distantly. And a friend found him through me and then was working with him, and she's probably listening to this, and that's great. And I had a conversation with her that felt like an important thing to bring up. And this actually, the thought of the killing the teacher and the Buddha actually originated. First, it's the parents, then it's the teacher, then it's the Buddha. Came from Greg, who I've spoken of before. And the point where you no longer look at your parents as your God, right? That time comes for us all, usually in our teens or 20s. And then there comes a time where the teacher that you've revered and you've put on a pedestal is also taken down off that pedestal, because you realize that that teacher does not know your path better than you, right? Like, and then there comes a time where the Buddha itself, that being that you revere and you place above all else, above anyone or anything, that also gets taken down off its pedestal. And it's an important initiation and a great reminder. It can be really disappointing when our teachers disappoint us and they don't practice the things that they teach or that they preach. It can be a really um, just significantly, what's the word, paradigm crumbling moment, internal paradigm. But what comes on the other side of that is wonderful. And again, when the next opportunity that the universe gives you, when you're ready to kill the god, and I think that's where true sovereignty really becomes realized, like true sovereignty. That doesn't mean that we can't have an appreciation and reverence or whatever for if we believe in an ultimate creator, although more and more do I believe that we are actually the creators. I don't know that I would say the gods, the creators of reality. I'm still figuring out my theory of everything, or at least my theory of things. That is, I think my whole life has been leading to this moment to write my theory of everything and to illustrate it, because I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's whittling down. It's process of elimination, going down every thought experiment that I can, whether I agree with it or not, whether it be scientific or not, or simulation based or not, or whatever it is, and just going in and letting it go. And yeah. Okay, I'm not going to do this last one because I just don't have it in me. I just don't. I'm done. I'm done. Longest podcast yet, I think. Yeah, that's it. If this, I hear people say this, but now I understand why. Like, if this is something, if like the things that I share are interesting to you, and you more than likely have friends who are interested in these things as well, I would really appreciate it if you would start to share my work with people. I don't do a lot of self-promotion, and I don't know that I will. I mean, I might do some cool stuff on Instagram. I've been gearing up to do some stuff, some tricky stuff, because I know that algorithm is not going to like what I have to say, so I have to find ways to say it. But I think what this is, and this is the word that came to me that I'm going to use going forward, is this is a mycelial movement. The mushrooms themselves said that to me. I don't do any, I don't even eat mushrooms really, but I don't really do plant medicine so much anymore, or anything like that. But I have a developed relationship with the mycelium and the fungus and the mushrooms and all of that because of my past life here. I mean, like, a few years ago, some years ago. And so that relationship never went away, and it's still there. And so I get, sometimes I get a little message from them, and they are the largest network and organism on the plane. So, you know, and I would say, I would posit that the internet is the archontic version of the mycelium, which I'm sure you've thought of before. I'm not the first to say it. So this is a mycelial movement that will require um, those of you who resonate with my words to help me to refine the words, to get the words out, to be a part of the actual movement itself, because I do not plan on being a Tony Robbins. Um, there's too many false prophets in the world. It's too loud. The marketing budgets are too big for me to even want to compete. I also don't really care for all that energy being directed at me after my feelings recently, and experiencing that these frequencies are being flooded through the waves. I don't need to be anybody's target. I'm just here doing my cross of obscuration thing, and hoping that whoever's meant to hear it does. Sending you my love and my hugs, and be well. Bye.